Hi, I'm Andrew Berry and welcome to At The Bench's YouTube channel. This is now the last film in the series that we have started. I think this is about the third part now. We've gone through how to solder and make up a ring. We've had another film on how to clean and buff up the ring, prepare the ring, ready for this final film, which is going to be polishing it. Now, I'm a great believer in doing as little work as possible. Doing as little work, get up off my bottom off the bench. I like to do everything I possibly can sat here at my bench. So I will do what I can to avoid moving around the workshop. Not the fact I'm lazy, it is because purely of time management. The more time I spend up getting up and going to the other side of the workshop to pass polish, use a vise, use a mandrel, it's time wasted for me. And for me, I'm a professional jeweler, and for me, time is money. So the more time I can spend working on the piece, as opposed to walking back and forth, the faster I can make the piece, and perhaps even the cheaper I can make the piece as well. So this is the last film. We're going to look at polishing up the ring that we made up in the film about 2 films ago. And over my 30 years of making jewellery professionally, I have made some mistakes. I have got some really quick shortcuts. And as you've seen in the last film, talking about buff sticks, for me, that saves me so much time. Unnecessary, wasted time by going through all the various grits. Buff sticks, 1 grit, fantastic. Now we're going to look at polishing this particular ring. There are lots of ways to polish, and I'm not saying that they're wrong. Every type of polishing technique has its place. I choose to polish slightly differently to other people because, again, for me, time is money. And for those who are members of At The Bench, our online jewellery training website, atthebench.com, you'll know that I love a particular type of brush. For me, if I was on a desert island and I had 2 tools to take, I would take, or perhaps 3 tools, I would take my flex shaft, my pendant motor, and one of these white nylon brushes. This is, I think it's a 21mm, nice, simple white nylon brush. This is a 2.35mm shaft that fits quite nicely in my quick release handpiece in my pendant motor. You can use this with a Dremel as well. I used to use the goat's hair, the dark goat's hair and the white goat's hair, I think it was, but I found that it shed. You ran these too fast and the bristles would just shed and they would stick in you, and you'd be wondering why you're scratching half the time, because there's a bit of goat's hair sticking in you. So the white nylon brushes that we've got here, absolutely brilliant. In the US, I know there aren't many suppliers of these, but here in the UK, Sutton Tools, go to suttontools.co.uk. They sell these brushes. They will ship them abroad as well. And for me, it is an absolute brilliant type of brush. It is the best type of brush for me to clean the inside of ring shanks because they're bristle brushes, they move and they conform to what you have got on the inside. If you have a court shaped, the bristles will conform and form over that court shape. And whilst there's nothing wrong with these small little hard little felt mops that we've got here, they tend to be quite rigid. And when you're polishing, you have to move this particular mop to become in contact with all the surface. These brushes, as you can see, this is the same brush that we've got here. It's looking a little bit on the black side. That is because I am using some Tripoli. So that is how it starts off, nice and white, and they soon become looking as black as this. And I've got quite a few of these on my bench of various sizes, and I really do use these down to the metal ferrule. Ideally, I would always have it in a flex shaft or a pendant motor, something like that. If you do have it in a Dremel, well then don't have the speed very, very high because there is no need. I'm going to use this one here that is sort of slightly used already. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply hold on to the ring, put it onto my peg and use the brush to go around and around. As I'm going around, I'm moving the bristles back and forth, and that will really clean up the inside absolutely brilliantly, whether it's a flat band or whether perhaps it's a court shape, or even if you want to solder two rings side by side and you've got that ridge in the middle, these are absolutely brilliant for polishing. And also they're ideal for polishing all different types. I'm just looking around for something that I can see I can polish. I haven't got anything on my bench. They are brilliant for polishing the outsides of rings, outside of pendants, whatever you have, because the bristles will conform to that outer shape. If you've got some deep engraving or got a bit of a pattern on it, these are absolutely brilliant because the bristles will get down into those areas, those low-lying areas where something like a hard felt mop wouldn't even touch. So grab the bristle brush, hold it on the side. You want to run it at a medium sort of speed and put enough pressure on so that you know that you can hear the motor change. There's not much point doing this. It's not polishing, it's not doing anything at all. You need to push on the bristle brush until you hear that motor, the tone of the motor, the speed of the motor slow down. Then you know you're putting the pressure on. And because of that, you may find the silver will get quite hot as well. So you can also put some protection on your fingers as well. So let's just polish up the inside of this ring. And I would always polish the inside of rings first of all before you polish the outside. So it's a nice medium speed. I'm going at a slight angle and you can hear that motor change. Okay, so that's the speed. You can hear the motor change. I release, the motor goes back up to its speed and I'm changing the position of the ring, moving it around and around, charging up the bristle brush quite often. So we will carry on doing the inside of the band. It's actually looking pretty good already. And then we can even use the same brush then for doing the outside of the band as well. Again, these hard mops, the hard little calico mops that we've got here are sometimes just a little bit too hard because again, they don't really conform to the shape of the outside of the ring, like the D-section band that we have here. So again, exactly the same. What I would advise you to do is go at 90 degrees to your marks that you've put on when you had your buff stick. So if you buffed across and along the ring, I would then try and polish at 90 degrees as well. And as you can see, literally within a few seconds, we're getting a lovely polish on the outside of this ring. And because of the bristles are conforming to the shape, they're not putting any flats or any sort of facets upon the outside of the ring. And as you can see, we do have a lovely finish virtually within a few seconds on that ring. And you'll carry on until you've removed all the marks that are running in the one direction. And once you've removed all those marks, you will find then that you need to wash the ring, wash it in some warm soapy water or put it in an ultrasonic if you're lucky to have an ultrasonic. And then what you need to do is wash your hands as well because all of this is triply, quite a rough, aggressive polish. Then you want to swap over then to a nice fine soft mop. A nice woolen mop is really nice. Anything like this sort of thing that we have here, nice soft woolen fluffy mop, or even these sort of felt mops, not the rigid felt mops, but these are little felt discs that are put together. Again, these are nice and soft. And again, exactly the same way, I would use these on the inside. I'm not going to touch the ring because I've got some Tripoli on here and I don't want to contaminate these particular mops. But again, some rouge on the insides to clean up the insides, and then the same mop then you can do on the outside of the ring, and that will get you an absolutely brilliant finish. I'm going to carry on cleaning up this ring, pop it through the ultrasonic, and then I'm going to use those lovely soft mops with rouge. Rouge, excuse me, is the red polish. It's a fine, lovely high luster polish. This Tripoli is slightly sort of oily, slightly more aggressive. And what you don't want to do is to contaminate or use the same mops that you use for your Tripoli as you do with your rouge. You want to use separate mops and preferably clean the piece before you go from this polish to the fine polish, and also clean your hands as well. So I'm just going to quickly carry on cleaning up this ring, ultrasonic it, wash it in warm soapy water to remove any of the old Tripoli polish. Then we're going to crack on with those lovely soft mops. Put a nice, beautiful, high polish on the inside of the ring. Notice I've got this cloth down as well, just to protect the outside now from scratching. If you've got a little bit of dirt, a little bit of polish that gets left on the inside of the ring, perhaps increase the speed as well, and that will also help remove that. That's got a fantastic finish. And again, likewise, just go over the outside. We've already done this, but as you can see, beautiful, beautiful finish. And then I'll have one last go with the brush with the smallest amount of rouge on it, and just go over that to bring up that beautiful final shine. What I also would advise you to do is wear a mask as well if you're using one or two of these mops and they're brand new, because these sort of mops do shed quite a few fibres. Absolutely fabulous. So even though, excuse the bits in the air, so even though I cut the film just to finish off polishing it, you can see how fast we can polish using these white nylon brushes. Absolutely fabulous. I'll leave a link down in the description with a link to Sutton Tools, who sell these, and I know they distribute throughout the whole of the world, but I know I do have some At The Bench members who are in the US who actually can't get hold of these. So if you want some, check out the link below. White nylon brushes. So that is how to get the most fantastic finish so quickly, so easily, with those minimal of equipment. If you do have a bench mounted polishing motor, brilliant, you can use that. There's no problem at all, but I'm just showing you a really quick and easy, simple way of getting the most gorgeous, gorgeous finish on that ring. So you've seen me make the ring now from start to finish. I did cut the film for a matter of about 2 minutes. I didn't really want to bore you with me going over the ring with the brush, but literally you can see how quick we can polish up the silver using, again, the most minimal amount of equipment. You don't need all these large pieces of equipment and large expensive polishing mops and so forth. You can get away with these small little white nylon brushes. Absolutely fabulous. But if you do have your big bench mounted polishing motors, that's great. There's nothing wrong with those. This was purely to show you how we polish up with the most minimal amount of equipment. So if you like these films on these little hints and tips on making jewellery, and also my weekly vlogs, please consider subscribing. I'd love you to. And also, if you have a particular method of polishing that you feel that you want to tell everybody and let me know, then please leave them down in the comments section below. I would love to read and have a look and perhaps even try them out myself, because perhaps I've missed a technique, I've missed a hint, little tip that would help me produce and make these rings faster as well. So this is the best way to share knowledge, is by telling people perhaps your little secrets, your little hints and tips, and then we can all benefit. But in the meantime, my name is Andrew Berry for At The Benches YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next film. Bye bye.